Hey Lego fans, and welcome back to MB Bricks. It's Maya and I'm here today showcasing my finished Lego Medieval Castle diorama. I have named this Graystone Castle, and we are going to be taking a look at 4 fully finished interior castle floors, all the details of the courtyard, and then into the village to look at the structures I have made for here, including the interiors of those. If you like castle builds, be sure to leave a like and a comment below, as well as hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, as well as the bell icon to be notified of new videos when they are posted on Fridays. This project is my contribution to the Brick Knight Alliance Castle Contest, and I will leave a link in the description if you would like to check out the other MOCs submitted. Now, without further ado, let's take a closer look at this build. This entire MOCS spans over 18 32 by 32 base plates for a size of approximately 6 feet wide and 3 feet deep. I began this build at the end of October, so this took me about 3 months to put together in its entirety. I was building quite quickly due to the contest only running to the end of January, and I wasn't able to start building until we completed our move to our new Lego room. Despite the time crunch to get it done, I am very pleased with how it turned out, and I feel like I got all the details in that I wanted to. I didn't do much pre-planning for this build, but started with the river and bridge, making my way to the front gates. I decided to build the walls using the dilapidated style, using mostly bluish-gray parts, with hints of dark bluish-gray and medium nougat. The outer walls and gatehouse definitely gave a feel for the sheer size that the castle would become. I wanted the entire build to be as realistic and playable as possible, so I made sure to include access ladders and stairs throughout the MOC. The gatehouse has 4 levels that guards can climb, with a top lookout area. The courtyard is accessible through the gatehouse, however it is guarded by 2 of the best knights, so you better have a good reason to visit. The second level of the gatehouse has a door that guards can use to enter the outer wall balcony, which is constructed from wood, and each side has a couple of black falcon guards pacing, watching over the land. Just below the balconies we can see an inner market with the highest goods of the land provided to the castle, and the wealthiest are able to purchase here as well. There are a variety of vendors selling fish, clams, lobsters, wool, and leather, as well as different fresh fruits, vegetables, and baked goods. The courtyard is bustling with wealthy upper-class people, and the royal family has ordered jesters to entertain, including acrobatics, juggling, and fire breathing. This poor juggler has had an accident and fallen down, with a disapproving look from the lady behind. This other lady looks terrified, as one of the juggling balls has missed hitting her by a mere inches, and this man is laughing at their misfortune. Also located in the main courtyard are the stables, with a side door access to the armories inside the castle. This gave the knights and guards easy access to all their equipment and horses to defend the castle if under attack. The alley is lit by lanterns, and each horse stall is equipped with a functioning door, feed bin, and some hanging supplies. The hay is stored just above in the hayloft, currently being tended to by the stable boy, who is shifting some hay down below to feed the horses. The back corner has some flattened down hay, as the servants who worked in the castle did not have proper sleeping quarters, and they were left to find their own warm, cozy place to sleep at night. Moving on to the castle section of the build, you can see the detail continues up the walls, with larger windows protruding as you get to the upper floors. A large balcony is just above the entrance doors, with more guards pacing atop it. Large barrels with heated oil or tar were at the ready in case of intruders getting through the main gate. The barrels were then poured onto unsuspecting thieves if they tried to enter the castle. Additional bins of projectory weapons, including spears and bows and arrows, are conveniently located on the balcony. As we reach the topmost balcony, we can see a similar design with more bowmen, although this time the knights are also equipped with hand-to-hand combat weapons. If trespassers were able to invade up to the top of the castle, the guards would most likely have to defend themselves in close combat. However, until that time, they are wielding arrows to shoot afar. The two towers at the top of the castle are quite different, as they serve much different purposes. The tower on the left is a large watchtower, with very open windows to see in all directions. A cage has been lifted into the air, which holds any enemies of the castle. They are showcased to the land what happens if you were to attack or trespass on the castle property. Captured foes would be lifted high up, raised internally by the hanging chain, and left to be eaten alive by birds. I'd hate to be the next prisoner, shoved in there with a half-eaten corpse. As we begin to take a look at the interior of the castle, we will begin with the grand entranceway, which is only able to be viewed from the top. The balcony is easily removable to see inside, and minifigs would gain access with the fully functioning brick-built doors. The main foyer has some decorative flowers in the corners and hanging black falcon flags. A suit of armor guards the large staircase leading up to the second floor. A hallway leads to the back of the castle, where the armory and kitchens are located, and off to the left, a doorway leads into the Great Hall, which was used for many different purposes, such as dining most days, as well as large events such as royal weddings or balls. Circling around, we can now see the Great Hall that is about twice as high and as long as it is wide, which was a standard size for these types of rooms. At the main tables, we can see some knights in the back enjoying some food, as well as some wealthy upper-class ladies chit-chatting in the front. The king and queen have their table at the head of the hall, with two grand thrones and fancy candelabras lighting the table. Natural light also floods in through the large windows behind the table, which are draped in an elegant green curtain. Two large chandeliers hang from the ceiling, and the back wall is decorated with some black falcon emblems. The other wall has the head of a dragon, who was the most feared creature of the land. The knights of the castle finally conquered the dragon, and have hung the head like a trophy to prove their bravery. A statue representing all the previous great kings of the castle is just below there. Right beside the Great Hall is of course the kitchens. The kitchen is well stocked of food items, and a female servant is currently prepping a large meal for the royal family, as it is an important day. Ovens were not common in the medieval ages. However, there was one usually located in the castle, and the one here has some bread baking currently, with more food being cooked beside there in a large pot. Moving along, we pass the hallway from the front foyer and into the armory. The armory is well stocked with helmets, shields, and weapons. Two Black Falcon Knights are currently getting ready for their shift, gabbing away in the back. The armory is quite full at the moment, but should an attack ever come upon the castle, every abled man would be required to help defend. The grand staircase in the main foyer leads up to the second floor, which we can now see. As I said, I have tried to make this MOCS very realistic, and therefore have access points to all the different levels. The first room we can see is the map room, which was a very fun room to put together with all the little details. There is a large table used for laying out maps and planning routes, and other fun items including a globe, a chest, and some trinkets found on journeys. The next room over is the castle's library. Most people in the medieval ages were not literate, and therefore books were not common and could mostly only be found in the wealthy estates where the occupants were most likely able to afford to be taught to read and write. I have built basic bookshelves and used some of the official molded books as well as a few brick-built books to add some different colors and shapes to the shelf. I then finished off the room with a custom-built chair featuring carved dragon head arms and a small writing table. Heading back to the map room, we can take the next staircase up to the 3rd floor. Just at the top of the staircase, we can see the entrance door to the large balcony above the main entranceway. The 3rd floor is where the royal family have their sleeping quarters. They were pretty much the only ones in the medieval times to have a comfy, warm bed to sleep in, perhaps even having a spare in case they have important guests staying the night. Starting with the room on the left, we can see the princess getting ready. She is dressed in her favorite color, purple, that also matches her bedspread. A small trunk holds her few possessions, which is right in front of a large window overlooking the land. I have tried to add in a few details, such as the bouquet of flowers used to brighten the room. There is a large sitting room just outside the king and queen's bedchambers, modestly furnished as there was not a lot to be had in the medieval ages. Just beyond the doorway, we can see the queen getting ready with the help of her servant. This bedchamber is a bit larger than the princess's room, but has pretty much the same features in it. The queen is just getting her finishing touches done, although the servant is looking a bit disgruntled at the embellished getup. The queen wants everything to be perfect, as it's a big day. Taking the final staircase up to the 4th floor, we are brought to a waiting room sort of area. A ladder leads upwards to gain access to the watchtower, with more flags decorating the wall. 2 noblemen of different factions have helped themselves to some of the king's whiskey, sizing up their competition before meeting with the king in the next room. Just through the doorway leads into the throne room. We have finally found where the king is, sitting in his large throne, always a couple of steps above everyone else in the room. A baron is bowing just before the king, as today is the big day where suitors from across the land have come to meet with the king in hopes of asking for his daughter's hand in marriage. Once a proper husband is found, there will be a large feast in the great hall to celebrate. The king is personally guarded by 2 knights on either side who are knighted to the highest ranking. The final room on this floor is the treasury, where the king stores his most prized possessions. Gold, jewels, and trinkets of many kinds are strewn about, and due to its location, would be very hard for thieves to penetrate this room. In case of attack, and intruders actually make it to the top floor, the king has more power fighting behind him. The wizard lives in the tower just above the treasury, and although the king has many trained knights and guards, the wizard provides that extra protection against any enemies, including treachery from within the walls. The only way in or out of the wizard's tower is by teleportation, and therefore not many have seen the inside. The 1st floor of the tower is where the wizard has his workshop, full of spell ingredients such as vials, crystals, and spell books. The wizard is quite in tune with nature, and has many furred, feathered, and scaly friends, such as the chameleon and sleepy owl seen here. I have chosen the newest Blue Wizard minifigure as the character in this MOC. The 2nd floor of the tower is where he has his sleeping quarters. He has a royal blue bedspread to match, and black falcon flags hanging on the walls proves his dedication to the castle and the royal family. He spends a lot of time watching over the land and stars, and I have placed an intricate-looking telescope out his window. Looking closely at the wall, you can see a small ship in a bottle hanging there. Pirates once came to invade a nearby port, and so the wizard placed the entire ship and its occupants somewhere safe so he could keep an eye on them. The exterior of the Wizard Tower is very elegant, with a conical roof, carved window frames, and gold embellishments. And that covers the castle portion of this build. Please let me know in the comments what your favorite part of the castle was. Just outside the castle walls is one of the first things I built for this MOC, the medieval market. Vendors have come from across the land to sell their goods to a variety of upper, middle, and lower class people. I have built some stalls using Technic connectors and tattered cloth sail pieces from the Silent Mary ship of the Pirates of the Caribbean line. We have a variety of merchants selling many goods, including fish, wool, wildflowers, vegetables, wine, tools and armor, and more. The street is bustling with many different figs, with the inclusion of my family's own sig figs. You can see myself and husband with our toddler son, and even included Baxter, our yellow lab. In the back corner, you can see a mysterious looking figure hiding in the brush, waiting for an opportune moment to strike and thieve one of the vendors. This poor baker came to the market later in the day with his freshly baked bread. He will have to go to the end of the street to find a spot to open up shop. Just to the right of the market area, we see some fishermen hard at work gathering their traps, as well as fishing to get as much as possible to refill at the market. The bridge and the river were the first things I built for this MOC, way back at the very end of October. The bridge is built using a flex tube to create that curved look, which was a new technique for me, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. The winding water has been unchanged, with only additions at the water's edge to complete the look. One of the last things I added to this build is a small archery practice area just between the river and the outer castle wall. 2 Black Falcon Knights are competing to see who can make the most bullseyes, their quivers tossed into the brush. A small cascade of water over a small rocky bank using a combination of curved and sloped pieces leads us to the first building that I made for the village, the winery. The winery is beside the large vineyard, which I've created rows of grapevines growing neatly, waiting to be picked. A worker is nearby with his son, harvesting the green grapes. I tried to give as much detail as possible to the building, especially the arched window frames. The roof of the winery comes off completely to show the finished interior. The grapes are organized by color and flavor on the right-hand side. When enough are harvested, the grapes go into this barrel to be squashed down into juice. The juices are then left to ferment, and then, when it's ready, the juice is strained and put into bottles to be taken to the market. Just outside the winery is a small honeybee keeping area. Sugar was not very available during the medieval ages, so they used honey as a sweetener in items such as wine and baked goods. This poor beekeeper seems to be having a rough go at it though, as he's trying to escape getting any more stings. Just beyond the beehives is the start of a dense forest. I have used 6 different tree designs in this MOC, some for the first time for myself in a build. I used a variety of brick, flex tube, and Technic parts to complete these trees. Additional fallen branches are scattered about the ground, and several plants and bushes would make it difficult to maneuver through the thick brush. Coming back to the forest a bit later, we will follow the path down towards the front of the MOC. A single apple tree fills this space, where a happy passerby has pulled over his cart-pulling cow to take advantage of the fallen food. As every medieval MOC needs, I have added in a sailor here, having the best day just lounging in a random location with a bottle of rum in his hand. I like the newly colored dark green swirl plant pieces that I recently bought to finish this area. On the road by the bakery, we can see a very important person arriving through Graystone Village on her way to the castle. The Dragon Knights have arrived from a distant land to see the king. Trumpet players lead the way while guards follow behind. I really wanted to get a bit of the nostalgic Lego castle included in this build. The procession is currently heading right by the bakery, which is one of my favorite parts of the build. A small table is set out by the road with fresh goodies for sale. A well-dressed man is inspecting the pies. Nearby, a goat herder and his family of goats are taking a bit of a break from their long journey from the market back home. I also figured this village needed a well, so I made sure to add one in this spot with a detailed roof and a couple of buckets beside it. The other side of the bakery shows the indoor-outdoor oven, where another worker is currently pulling out ready-to-go bread. The stonework is similar to the castle, as everyone would be using whatever materials were available in the area for building. Once again, the roof comes off easily to show the main floor. Here you can see the indoor side of the oven and many tables and trays with different baked goods, including pies, bread, and croissants. A couple of tools sit at the bottom of the stairs, which lead up to the second half floor. The second floor is the small sleeping area for the bakery owners. Because there was not a lot of wealth in the medieval ages, beds were mostly only for royalty or upper-class citizens. The rest had to make a spot as comfy as possible by laying down moss, leaves, etc. for the sleeping area, which I have represented here with sand and olive green tiles. A small candle and trunk finished the room, as there is not a lot to own. This second to last section is one of the last areas that was done for this build, and the first time able to see it. Just on the other side of the fence surrounding the bakery is a fallen tree that is currently being harvested by several workers. This was a very fun section to build using the 2x2 round printed tiles and putting in the details such as logs and leafy pieces. The final part I did put together for this MOC is the farmhouse, which I knew was going to be a lot of fun with adding in the animal pens and crop area. The farmhouse I decided to make a little bit different than what you usually see for medieval builds that use the wooden framing style. I have built up the corners with a cobblestone rock work, which also runs along the base of the house. A simple sign yielding a carrot is simple yet effective. Pulling off the roof of this building, you can see a single floor house with, again, a modest sleeping area, fireplace with a pot for cooking, and a small table area, tools just to the side of that. I have tried to keep all the buildings similar for the village, but with all their unique designs and color schemes, and I'm very happy with how they all turned out. To the right of the farmhouse, we can see a small open barn-type building, which the farmers use to access the animal pens as well as store feed and tools. Of course, the very front of the MOCS has the lovable pig pen with a small muddy area and several pigs snorting around. I have included a bin of scraps for the pigs to eat as well as a water trough near the enclosed area. On the other side is a similar setup for the newer animal mold of the sheep. The sheep graze on the grass, so I made this fairly lush with only another water trough added in as well. A new to me tree design using a similar style to the medieval blacksmith set finishes off this sheep pen. The other side of the farmhouse is a small area where carrots are planted and harvested. I used dark brown for the dirt beneath the carrots, with some already picked carrots off to the side. Medieval people weren't the only ones to find carrots delicious. A family of rabbits have made their way into the garden to see what they could eat before the farmhand notices them. He is too busy watching the Dragon Knight procession march down the street. The rabbits must also be careful though. The barn cat is watching nearby, ready to grab some lunch. Finally, we come to the back corner, which is the most mysterious of them all, the witch's hut. I tried to make this area very different than the rest of the MOCS by using the olive green on the landscaping, dark green for the trees, and dark bluish gray for the main part of her dwelling. One of my favorite parts of the entire build is the witch's hat designed roof. It took me several days and attempts for this one little part, but I'm so happy with the end result. The witch's hat roof, of course, comes off to reveal a small interior. The floor is broken and mossy, and 2 tables are placed on either side of the room, full of magical items. I have used a light brick for this fireplace, as I thought it gave it a nice eerie glow to the room to add to the creepy vibe. Back outside the hut, you can see the witch alongside her black cat, brewing something evil within her cauldron. The witch and wizard used to be together, keeping peace over the land. However, one day, the witch decided she wanted to use their power to rule all beings. This did not sit well with the wizard, who was much more powerful, and banished her to the forest, unable to step back into the village. Growing green with envy, the witch has finally been able to create a spell that will allow her to finally take over the land. But will she be powerful enough to take down the wizard? Or will the wizard continue to keep Graystone Castle and the village out of her reach? And that covers everything in this large Lego medieval build. I hope you have enjoyed this journey back to the medieval ages. Keep watching to have one more quick tour around the MOCS without the commentary. This project was a lot of fun, and if you have followed along for the past few months, thank you for sticking around. If you like medieval or castle builds, please check the description for a link to a playlist to other builds on my channel. Once again, if you haven't already, please do subscribe as it helps this channel out a lot. Thanks so much for checking out this video today, and until next time, keep on building.